Jeune.
Nice. Really good.
Je.
Really good pronunciation. How do you pronounce the common pasta dish that you make out of minced meat and
Lasagna.
lasagna? But the other one.
Bolognese. No, I don't want to be like Bolognese.
Bolognese.
Yes, that's what you do.
Don't do. It's not
You
bolo.
finish with this.
British people say bolo.
Bolo. Say, or no, they don't. They say spag bol.
Spag bowl. Oh my god.
You haven't come across that?
Fucking England. Yeah. Today, first of all, yes, we have a guest here. Later on, we shall do a quick, State of the Union, and then we'll send you to our guest. Gotta always keep our eye on things that are mentioned on the show and updates. So, very exciting update. You remember in the episode with the lovely Laura, we were talking about when artists would start suing these tech companies for unauthorized use of their creations. And Marshall Mathers, Eminem is suing Meta.
I never realized Eminem is because it's Marshall Mathers.
Oh my god. Oh my god. All I can say to that is Detroit. So yes, very exciting. We'll keep an eye on that legal case. Maybe we can get our attorney Ronald R. Rosenberg to talk about what all the different aspects of the case.
I feel like if anyone was to take it forward, it would be good to be him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked that
not your guy Eminem.
I thought Ronald Rosenberg. No. I'm shocked that Eminem hasn't hired Ronald Rosenberg.
He's busy with your shizer, isn't he?
Oh my.
Your plaintive actions.
All right, go ahead and tell us now, what have you prepared for us here? Something you've also an update on something that was promised.
Because some of it's got answers, but it's about Nelson Mandela.
Yes, a topic that was teased. So
we keep doing it. Well, you keep doing it.
No, but I'm keeping on top of this one.
I'm blameless.
And this is fun. Everyone else can play along too. You're doing a quiz.
Yeah.
And I've been known to be the greatest pub quiz champion of all time. But when the topic is this specific, if I had to give myself over-under, as the NFL season is starting, we do over-under, I would say, if there's 10 questions, are there 10 questions? I'd put my over-under at 4.5. Yeah,
because these are very specific, not known ones, but then you do sniff out that kind of information from things. So we're risky. But can I just say, in terms of my draft, I won more than you won.
Yeah. In the draft. You can't say these things like draw draft. People don't know what you're talking about. It is a
draft.
All right, so the Talking Ass League has had its draft, and you did very well. And you got Josh Allen, and I got shit. Well, I got the first pick in the draft, which is the worst position to get, because then you get the one. So you get the one of the top names, but you're equally well positioned at positions 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because out of the top 6 or so names, there's no way of knowing which one's going to have the best season. They're all superstars. So it's much better to draft later. Being last is actually the best in our small league with very few teams. Because then you get like pick 7 and 8 or whatever. And so you're still in the superstar category and you get 2 of them, right? But
who was your first pick, Daniel?
I took Jamar Chase, number 1 off the board.
Well, that is okay.
Oh, he's hopefully going to be a bit more than okay.
In my head, I mixed up Lamar Jackson and Jamar Chase, and I thought they were one person.
They might be. I've never seen them in the same room together. Yeah, I've never seen them in the same room together, so you've maybe stumbled on a conspiracy here. Feedback-wise, nice of you to see that so many of you listened to the NFL episode. I did not get many thoughts from any of you on it, but many of you made it to the end, which is, if you're not into the topic, that's nice. So you're trying. Hopefully you're gonna, gamble and win some more houses, as I've already gifted away so many houses here on the show with my other gambling picks. What else? We had ships with Tico, and send in, by the way, all your feedback. What did you think about that? I am fascinated by these big ships and their history and everything, and there will hopefully be more of Tico. I love that conversation. Any thoughts, Sylvia?
Tico holds more information than, sometimes the likes of you. He had so much data.
Yeah.
He could reel off numbers, amounts, and things like that. It was really cool.
Yeah. And it's nice to delve into a world where you're normally just a consumer, worried about how you can stuff your face in the buffet, but there's like a whole world around you operating. All these different thoughts and things go into it. And yes, Tico will hopefully be back for a slightly more in-depth one. And so, but we're recording this when the Tico episode has only just been released. So if you have more feedback about that, talkingasspodcast@gmail.com, or go through the website and send your hate mail from there. Now, quiz time, everybody. First quiz on the show. Sylvia is going to ask some questions. If you get all of them correct, or if you at least beat me, then I will gift you a guest appearance on the show. I will let you call in and gloat about how much more intelligent you are. All right, what's the topic?
Nelson Mandela.
Cool.
Nelson Man quiz.
Question 1.
So, Nelson's prison number was 46664. Why?
46664. Can I think out loud? I mean, for pirate radio, it makes sense to think out loud rather than quietly. I'm thinking, first thing goes, is it like one of these Google jokes where it also spells a word? 664, what would that, if you turn it around in a calculator, that doesn't make a word. Is it something to do with, was he born in 1946?
No. What? No.
Obviously not. He was born much earlier than that. I got nothing.
Okay. The number stems from the fact that he was the 466th prisoner of 1964.
Ah, fuck. That makes so much more sense.
Very.
But honestly, if you had a pub quiz team and you had some group thing going on, you might have got into that with some help from people. But I do have to say by the way, that's a very logical prisoner number system that satisfies me a lot. So maybe apartheid South Africa did something right after all.
No.
Okay. I hope that wasn't the fucking easiest question that's coming.
Well, they are niche. How many honorary degrees was he awarded?
How would anyone know that?
How would you know that? That's your job.
Ask something more specific about me. How many?
You give a ballpark.
59.
No.
Okay, tell us, because that's not a quiz question.
115, and he actually got a Nobel Peace Prize and 695 other awards.
Okay.
And he was on the watch list for the US government, and it was only in 2008 that he was removed from the watch list because he'd already won his... No, this was like after he won his Nobel Peace Prize in 1993, so he's still on the watch list.
Cool, but can I just say, first quiz question, excellent, because it made us all think. Second, it's just one of those questions that nobody can get right. Like,
hey,
that's more like an end of the quiz as a tiebreaker, whichever team gets closest to the right answer.
Listen, you're a team of one, and secondly, I can send you a feedback form after the show, dude.
Okay, terrible question. Question 3.
What 2 sports did he excel in?
What 2 sports did Nelson Mandela excel in? I think one is boxing.
Correct.
And the other one, I mean, everyone wants to say rugby because of that movie, Matt Damon movie, but he wouldn't play a colonial game like cricket, would he? I don't know. It's boxing and, fuck it, rugby.
No. So, boxing and long distance running as a young man.
Ah.
I did not enjoy the violence of boxing so much as the science of it. I was intrigued by how one moved one's body to protect oneself, how one used strategy both to attack and retreat, how one paced oneself over a match. He took training seriously as an amateur heavyweight and sparred with professionals.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I have half a point out of 3.
Yeah.
My over-under 4.5 might be on the number. If I get 4 correct, I get half a point for that.
I'm really enjoying it.
All right, next.
What country did Nelly, that's his name now, go to for guerrilla training?
Is it Africa?
Yes.
Is it in Africa?
Yeah.
Algeria.
Yes.
Well done.
What date?
I don't know when, but I'm just saying I was between 2.
Okay.
It was between Algeria and like something in South America, like Colombia.
So he travelled to Algeria in 1962 to receive that training in the last days of the country's war against its former colonial ruler, France. He received military training in Ethiopia in 1962 as well, learning how to use automatic rifles, pistols, mortars, bombs, and mines. He never used it really because he didn't like. No, yeah, he did. No, he didn't use it, but he said that the use of violence was justified in the battle to bring down a party.
Yeah, I know. The next question, please. I have 1.5.
How old was he when he was given his English name?
Nelson. 16.
No.
What's the answer?
9.
Okay, who gave him his slave name?
Original name was not Nelson, it was Rolilala. Rolilala. I'm sorry for the pronunciation. Mandela was 9 years old when a teacher...
Can I pronounce it?
Yeah.
Rolilala.
Yeah, the same. At the primary Methodist school where he was studying.
It's a much cooler name than Nilsson.
In accordance with the custom to give all children Christian names.
Yes, of course. All right. Next question. How many have we had?
6.
And I have 1.5.
What item of his belongings did he accidentally leave behind in prison when he was released?
I know this.
Yeah.
The diary.
No.
What was it?
He had to borrow, basically he went out to give a speech to the crowds that had formed to support him, and he had to borrow his wife's reading glasses because he'd left his in there.
Yeah, I had heard that before.
And actually he was elected president when he was elected president.
I know when. Can I have this as a bonus question for another point? In 1990...
No, that was when he was released.
In 1990 he was released, so 1994?
Yes.
1994 he was elected president, so I get...
So when did he first vote in an election?
When did he first vote? Is that a question? I don't remember what elections were going on in that late apartheid South Africa. I mean, it must be when he voted for himself in the presidential election.
1994, yeah.
Awesome. I'm suddenly close to my over-under. Here we are at 3.5 points.
What 3 professions did Nelly dress as to disguise himself and hide from the authorities?
Priest.
No.
Builder.
No.
Sailor.
No. Would that help him?
I got nothing.
A chauffeur.
Oh, I knew about chauffeur. Yeah.
A gardener.
That I didn't know.
Any more? Do you want to guess one more?
The pool boy.
Chef.
Chef, I had cook on my mind. I should have guessed cook.
In order to travel...
That's a 0 for me.
The country, he used a fake identity and a passport. Do you know the first name of the passport? Fake name?
Well, was it Rolilala?
No, David.
David, okay. Who knows any of this?
He had been operating under a false identity, but he was ultimately exposed and arrested, but we still don't know who snitched.
Okay. Come on.
So
finish with some...
That was one where you could have actually got a couple of points. You could zilch.
But why don't
you... 2 more questions.
Why don't you now formulate the questions into something we can guess, because this is quite impossible.
What percentage of law exams did he pass, approximately?
100%.
No.
0%.
No.
Never took the exams. Well, those are my two guesses.
Should I go in between?
65.
No, 50. In between.
50%. Okay, yeah.
So he had his own law firm, but it took him years to get a law degree, and he studied law on and off from 1939, getting an actual degree in 89.
All right.
Yeah, it was not like his forte.
Okay. Final question.
Okay, so what was the most important reason for Manny to decide to campaign for AIDS patients?
The most important reason?
To him, yeah.
Well, was it something to do with someone close to him getting it?
Yes. Do you want me to?
Was it his dog?
No.
Well, who was it then?
His son passed away from AIDS-related illness.
Oh, shit. Now I'm embarrassed that I didn't know that.
Yeah, and let us give publicity to HIV and AIDS, not to hide it, because the only way to make it appear like a normal illness like TB, like cancer, is always to come out and say.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you,
So
Sylvia.
you did very badly, but that's okay.
I did awfully. 3.5 points out of whatever 11 were available with the bonus question. But we're just so happy to learn, you know?
We're just really grateful and
a lot of
thankful.
gratitude. Lots of gratitude.
Because I'm so humbled as well. Everyone's
so
always humbled.
I am never humbled. But thank you for that. Now we'll send everybody over to Jeffrey Lovin.
Oh, yes.
He's had some awesome guests on the show recently, and we're going to talk about some. You're going to hear a few of my rants because he had some thought-provoking stuff going on over there. Links are in the episode description. Go check it out. He's at Secret Service agents and stuff like that. Interesting people. Public service announcement.
Find your favorite pair of jeans or your favorite jacket and just go to a haberdashery shop, buy one of those iron-on stamps of any animal or creature or thing that you like and put it on there. Life's too short not to have patches, stickers on your butt.
That's fun, actually.
Mm.
I got no lofty statements today. I will just say volunteer some guests through the website as well. Some people who are into niche industries or something that someone like me wouldn't know about. Maybe even better if someone like Nelson Mandela doesn't know about it.
Just if you could get Nelson Mandela on the show, I'd be very impressed.
Yeah, find him. All right, here's Jeffrey. Hopefully we can bring some cult members over to you as well.
Okay, you know? Okay. No casual chat, no handshake before. We just delve straight into it, huh?
Yeah, we keep it authentic, you know.
Keep it authentic.
Yeah. Hey, welcome Jeffrey Van Leeuwen.
Thanks, man.
Jeffrey Fun Loving, as we like to call you over here.
Yeah, the benevolent cult leader, right?
Yes, exactly. Friend of the show, by the way. In the real sense. Everyone always says that, but we wouldn't be friends unless there were shows that we started, roughly around the same time.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's been quite a ride so far.
Yeah, before we get into the nitty-gritty, I've had some thoughts aroused by some of the guests you've had. Awesome guests, but I watch me, professional. So this is Talking Ass. You press the internet buttons over here, you send feedback, go to the website, links are in the description, then you say talkingasspodcast@gmail.com. What else do professionals say? Then you go over to Jeffrey, also links are in the description, and you find his stuff over there. Secret Service agent, I would love to delve into that, but first and foremost, we gotta go to the religious one. You had someone who was a Christian apologist. Was that his title?
Yeah, that was the label I came up with to use for that specific one. Yeah, that was quite an interesting conversation. Quite a tough one, actually. Struggled quite a bit with that, but it was good. It was fun. like
Yeah,
to do
you
that.
do so much research. I can hear it, and because you've gone on the serious route, where like people expect from me a bit of fuckery and some jokes, and you know, even though like people who know me expect to at least pretend to be the smartest person in the room. On the show, it's very excusable if I don't know anything about what's going on and I ask the idiot question. Whereas you, man, you had done some reading for that one, it felt like.
Man, it's a fine balance to strike, because what you're saying is true. We do our research before the conversation starts. So, and it's quite comprehensive. So in every conversation, the moments that we are recording, I have a couple of documents open, and one of them is like a research brief that we prepared in advance, which can be anywhere between 2 A4 papers and 5 to 6 A4 papers. It really depends on the guest. That takes time to make. So yeah, we do that. We obviously listen to and watch previous interviews, any TEDx talks if they are relevant, any articles if they've been published. Like, you gotta pick and choose, right? Because with some guests, there's just so much to pick from, so much to read up on, and you want to make sure that you don't go too much into it, right? Because then you have a situation of you can't see the forest through the trees anymore. But yeah, it's definitely true. There's quite a bit of effort going into that. Yeah.
And I mean, this guy, by the way, supremely intelligent and well-read person. I don't want to come off as someone who wants to like shit on the person. There were just certain things that annoyed me, but that's about philosophy. Like, what was his name, by the way? And he has a book out. I think it's fair if we mention his name, at least.
Yeah, most of them do. You're talking about the philosopher or about the Christian?
The Christian apologist fella. Very recent episode on your show.
Yeah, he has a book out. Yeah. Before I start, what were your thoughts on the episode?
Well, couple of things. Like I wrote them down somewhere, but it's hard to actually. I haven't taken notes, but I took notes at university, Cambridge University, because I'm so intelligent. Huh? I took notes by hand and at speed, but when I had thoughts during that episode, I couldn't keep up. But I'll try to. I felt like the whole thing where smart religious people who've read up on their secular philosophy and their secular history and also the church and its doctrines and its history and all that, they always have this need to like counter science, this person who will just call the person science, but there are millions of scientists, some of whom are very annoying and pretend to know the answer, just like maybe some religious people. But let's say in general, the scientific establishment, they always feel like they have to highlight all the millions and millions of answers that science does not know how to explain. And that somehow should bring people into religion, because that's a more, more comfortable framework of thinking. And that always annoys me, because science doesn't pretend to have the answer. The whole point is that there are millions of things that are unexplained. And as a general rule, that's why, well, while science has killed and maimed people in history, but usually in search for answers, not in order to go and tell people that we have the absolute answer and your options are to accept it or death. And that, like, pretending that science isn't aware of, the whole reason people go into science is all the unexplained nature of things. And that shouldn't make them uncomfortable. It makes them comfortable. It gives them a purpose, right? Sorry about the rant.
I think you're right. I think a good scientist realizes that they don't know anything about objective reality, for that matter. I heard a very interesting conversation this morning with, I can't really remember on which show that was, but I was listening to a scientist who believes that everybody in the world has a headset on through which they view the world, right? So you view the world through Danny's eyes, and you experience it through Danny's, emotions and physical sensations and visuals and those kind of things. But that is not objective truth, right? And then the question is, what is then objective truth? And, the idea there is that so complex, so deep, so far beyond what we can comprehend, that the only thing that we can do is use science to map the things that are within our comprehension, let's say, to try to make sense out of that, just so it fits within the human framework, right? Within our experience, so we can understand from our experience how something works. But that doesn't say anything about objective reality, right? It doesn't say anything of that realm or multiple realms that are far beyond what the human experience is. And I think that's right. And I think that, well, to go back to the specific conversation, it was a very interesting conversation to have, because I'm trying to find the nuance, and I'm trying to find the story, let's say, and the logic, let's say, of, you know, what somebody believes and why they believe it. So in that specific conversation, I took a very secular perspective. That's not necessarily to mean that I'm a secular person myself, but that was the persona, let's say. No, it's not persona. That was like the frame, let's say, through which I was approaching that conversation, because I think it's a very relevant frame for many people. One of my questions, for example, was, as a secular person, if you have your relationships in order, you know, you're good with the people around you, you have your friends, you provide a benefit to everybody that you interact with, right? So you can say objectively then, at least within the human framework, that what you do in your life is of net benefit to others. The question then becomes, what does Christianity add to that? Right? What is the value of that? And that's an opportunity for the other side to say, hey, that's a great question. First of all, how do you think about it? And second of all, this is the information I can give you. You shouldn't enter the realm of preaching, I think, because then it becomes very dogmatic. It stifles understanding. It's more, Danny, I'm going to tell you a story right now, and this is the truth. And if you don't accept that truth, you know, you are the problem. That's like, yeah, that makes it tough, let's say.
Yeah. There's like, I don't know, there's always this need for religion to come as an answer, or as a philosophical option, or as a epistemological option, or whatever those big philosophical words are. Nobody cares. Why? I don't understand, because any regular, decent person knows that religion has its place in society. It's community in places where there is no other community. Like if you don't play football, whether it's European or American, doesn't matter, football. If you don't play poker, and if you don't drink at the pub, then you're going to have to go somewhere to meet people. That's one function, solace for old people. What I don't get is, like, what I would have asked your guest here. His name is Joshua, by the way. I looked it up on your website. I wanna mention him because he was very smart and well read, and I think
for sure, yeah.
And he has a new book, Joshua Spatha. I'm just saying, like, why bother coming into a losing fight that, like, generally speaking, secular, well-read people are not gonna fall for fairy tales? And I know that's reductive, and there's more to a theist worldview than just fairy tales. I get it. But he's the one who said that science, if you want to believe in a scientific worldview, I'm paraphrasing, you have to believe in millions of miracles. Whereas if you want to believe in Christianity, you only have to believe in a few miracles. Well, actually, sorry, but in science, just because something is unexplained doesn't make it a miracle. It's just a mystery. It starts with the same letter M, but like that doesn't, like, it's a mystery that will have an answer in one day, right? If you follow the process. Yeah. So I don't get why. Just stay in your lane, I guess. That would have been my sort of angry question to him, or a passive aggressive question, I guess.
Man, yeah. I think what he says makes a lot of sense, and I really enjoyed this conversation, even though I really struggled with it. And I went into that with that perspective because I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes around Christianity, and on that level at least, right? And this guy has spent, I don't know, decades on this subject matter. So for that reason, it's very interesting to hear his views on Christianity. And I do think that some things that he says are quite powerful. I do think, for example, and I believe that, at least at this moment, until I hear something else that's more compelling, that if you break certain things down to its absolute components, like to the deepest elements that you can bring it, right? Well, you can bring a very simple concept forward. The concept of goodness or evil, right? What are those, and how do you define if an act that a human is doing is evil, yes or no? And yeah, you can define it from a secular perspective, but I do think the Christian perspective goes way deeper than that. At least for now, I don't think there's anything that goes deeper than that. And to maybe put it into practice, and this is just me thinking out loud right now, but I think that if you take the secular perspective, you would say something along the lines of that something is evil is that which is harmful to humans, or something along those lines, which is already flawed because harming humans, what is harm, right? If I give you critical feedback about something that you're not doing well, or something that I think you're not doing well, right? I might be harming you in the short term because it might not feel nice. But, is that evil then per se? I think we both agree that the answer to that is no. Anyway, long story short. So when you delve all the way to the depths of that question, at least from the Christian perspective, you accept the idea that humans are created in the image of God, and therefore humans have divinity in them. So if you hurt or if you kill something that is divine, which is in this case every single human, then that is per definition evil, because you have killed that, you have hurt that which is divine.
Yeah. No, of course, but also all of this stuff is that any decent secular person who either abandoned religion or grew up entirely without it would say, like, you don't need to give me a bronze-aged book of mythology
No, absolutely.
to teach me that there is something, for a lack of better word, sacred about life itself, and you should be nice and not take lives in vain and all that. And you'd have your evolutionary biologist saying that even animals understand that. And like, I feel like religion in that sense lost the argument. Not every part of the argument, again, like, and not the argument that is there a place for religion in life. Just these sort of, when religion tries to tackle the big questions, they'll always like come to the same wall, which is, first of all, humans behave completely ethically without this. Go to the jungle, to the uncontacted tribes. They are not massacring each other for no reason.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while, they'll have a genetic mutation that creates a psychopath, maybe, and every once in a while they'll have a war or a struggle for resources or some religious belief makes them kill each other, because that happens a lot. So anyway, I struggle to, like, it provoked so many thoughts, your episode, that each point that you raise is like, I don't know, he was so proud that a lot of scientists on their deathbed, or even some famous one, have adopted a theist worldview and suddenly believe that not everything can be random. And first of all, sure, but science, much like with aliens that we've discussed on this show before, the scientific process or community or science itself, whatever you want to call it, doesn't actually exclude the possibility of a creator of the universe or whatever. But they work on the available observable evidence, right? And it seems like, I mean, it rarely invades, enslaves, abuses, rapes, and kills or maims just in the name of some answer it pretends to know.
Yeah.
Whereas religion does. And you're coming to this like point where any progress that you and I maybe with I don't know how you grew up, but you're Dutch, I'm gonna guess religion's not a big part of your family. Dutch, born in the 90s, maybe.
Well, it's a Catholic family. It's a Catholic country, and I went to Catholic school as a child. So yeah.
So some of this was in your life, but I'm just gonna say that generally in Europe, most young Europeans are fairly secular. In the Christian and Jewish population, at least. I don't know about the immigrant population or the Muslim population, but I'm saying any progress we view that might be objectively good has come from free inquiry and critical processes, not from these like Bronze Age horror stories. This is, I think, I'm not saying anything crazy here. This guy is trying very hard to cling on to any hope that Christianity or generally a theist worldview can somehow fight this fight that's already been lost. That people have access to information now. People can think critically. You don't need to fight that fight anymore. You're not in charge. So stay in the lane where you're important and useful. And I think that's I don't know. Sorry, I mean, but I know you did an amazing job with that guy, but I just had a few thoughts that didn't come out in the episode, and I gotta talk to Jeffrey about this.
I mean, there's so much there's so much about that, and for me personally, I think what I'm trying to figure out right now, in at least in my personal life, is I understand some of the arguments. And actually, quite a bit of the arguments that Joshua brought forward in that conversation, because what I just said about the definition of good and evil. That's an example over there. So what I'm trying to figure out right now is how relevant exactly your point, right? When you said, okay, there are cultures out there who don't have a Christian background or who don't have a religious background per se, but they don't go around slaughtering each other. So clearly there's something there, right? Clearly you don't need that kind of framework in order to not do that level of harm to each other. So where my friction at this moment comes from, and that's what I'm trying to figure out, and I think that will take forever to figure out, if you can at all figure it out, is, okay, if you have to define goodness and evil, for example, you can go as deep as you want, and probably the deepest layer is the scripture. But then the question is that relevant? Do you need that granular level of detail in order to define what is good and what is bad? And I think that if we play a definition game with each other, I think that if you and I right now, we are in like a debate, let's say, right? And we really throw our definitions against each other to try to see which is the strongest, right? Yeah, maybe then Christianity comes out of that alive, or at least as the winner. But the question that I'm asking myself is that relevant, right? Is that relevant for 99.9% of the people out there? Because secular people also don't go around killing each other, right? You can say, okay, that infers that you believe in divinity, and that you can, because you can play the game. Why don't you do that? And then you can go deeper and deeper and deeper to see if there's some implicit divinity there. But anyway, what I'm trying to figure out right now is that granular level of detail even relevant? That's my question at this moment.
Yeah, and the granular level of the scripture, of course, it's not relevant. I mean, it is, as I say, things written a long time ago by barely literate people. I mean, that's not true since they wrote it down. I'm a moron, but but I'm saying, like, of course, it's not relevant to people now. Therefore, like, the more interesting thing here is the theism, which is just a belief in a higher power that guides us.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like, such an innocent belief, and yes, of course, the granular scripture is. I'm sorry, but and this isn't just about Christianity, by the way. And very soon I'm gonna have a rabbi on. I'm gonna challenge that stuff, and also hopefully an imam one day. But the thing is, of course, that's irrelevant. Nobody follows that. Like, these are niche groups in the Western world. I'm talking, like, obviously there are millions of people out there who take scripture literally. But to your point, the average Western secular person with values of the Enlightenment and humanism and all that, there's a reason they call it the Dark Ages, when religion ruled the place, and then the Enlightenment when science was a bit more free. But of course it's irrelevant. But then you come to this question, like, just the theistic worldview, that is there a higher power guiding everything? But that's like that's a question of free inquiry, and how you're doing science when you're doing that. So that my whole point is that these supremely well-read and educated people, that the guy Joshua came on your show, it's like, do you not understand that there's no point in you trying to sort of provide your way of thinking and all your reading you've done and your conclusions that you've arrived at as religion? You're doing science, for fuck's sakes, because you're doing free inquiry, and you're not, you've arrived at an answer that you then try to promote as an alternative to science, which is like, what? No, all you did was basically social science and a lot of reading, and you just have one view, right?
Man, this is something you can spend your whole life investigating this, and I'm just an explorer in this context. I don't know the science well enough. I don't know the underlying material well enough. I can just, shout out what I think I know and hope that it's, at least in the right direction. But honestly, this is something that you can spend your whole life on, multiple lifetimes even. I do think it's interesting though. So when you tell me that you're going to have a rabbi on, for example, I love it. That's what it's all about. It's that exploration that makes it really fun.
A female one as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And do you know what? You are much better at listening to your guests than I am, because I listen to both of our shows, right? So I try to view them both as like a critical, random person who doesn't know you or me. And I have this tendency to grab on, like I did today probably until now, is grab on to like 2 sentences that you said, and I'll go like, hey, there's our next branch in this conversation.
They stick out to you.
Yeah, and then maybe leave unaddressed what else the guest said. That might then, when I go back and listen, I might go like, hey, actually, they said a bunch of interesting stuff there that I failed to react to. You're much better at listening to everything the guest says and then trying to form the next thing out of that. But still, like, I don't know, you're, first of all, congratulations. I think it was episode 44 of your show, and you finally got a conversation that made me want to send some talking ass style feedback to your inbox,
Yeah, thank you very much. It's quite the experience so far.
I'm privileged though. I just got to have you here on my show. Instead, it would have been like a 5-page essay. Yeah. It's like, Jeffrey, you didn't ask. Like right here when you said that, you should, that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Honestly, I am gonna email him though, and see if he wants to do mine. I mean, not everyone's into this style. Other people are. It depends on your personality and whatever his agents say and stuff. But yeah, awesomely well-read person, and what a episode. I appreciated that neither one of you, at least not much, was trying to excuse away historical and current crimes, the exploitation of children and the poor and the otherwise vulnerable. Like the generic pretense of religion was there, which is like, we have the answer, which is somehow superior to science's lack of answers, with no mention of the fact that that's the whole point. The lack of answers is why people do science in the first place. But yeah, I think awesome, man. Like I congratulate you on that one. Next, Secret Service. Whew.
That was quite a ride, that one.
It's called the Secret Service. I didn't know they were allowed to, after they retired, to like come out and talk about it, or.
Man, a whole bunch of things surprised me about that conversation, because in the research that we did before that conversation started, I was obviously looking into Brad Beeler's background, and also what he did and the Secret Service itself, and I figured out really quickly that the Secret Service does quite a bit more than people may think, right? Because I think the stereotypical idea that people have when they hear the Secret Service is these guys walking around in those black suits with those black sunglasses, and they're walking around the president at all times and their families, right? Think House of Cards, right? Where Kevin Spacey, as President Underwood, he uses his basement and sets up his headquarters over there with all these Secret Service guys walking around, right? That was my image of the Secret Service. But apparently, it's a dual function entity. The other side of the Secret Service is
force.
Well, they focus on child exploitation and child sexual abuse, which really caught me off guard when I first read that. And they do it internationally as well. It's a worldwide operation. Yeah.
So they're the people who are communicating with Interpol, Scotland Yard, and it's the Secret Service is a big part of like child exploitation investigations in America. And I thought they were the guys who like dive in front of a bullet. Or and like threats to the integrity of government buildings and things like that.
I mean, it's pretty silly in hindsight, because if you go to the Wikipedia page, I mean, it's in the first couple of paragraphs, right? But then,
Yeah.
who reads the Wikipedia pages when we think we know what the Secret Service is? But it's
other than the weirdos and perverts who listen to this show, I don't think people go on the Secret Service Wikipedia page. I've never been on it. Like, why would I? Yeah. That guy, how did you find him?
He found me, actually. He reached out. He was like, I think, I can't really remember exactly what it is that he said, but I believe that he watched a previous episode. I'm not sure which one it was, but he watched a previous episode. He was like, "Hey, it looks cool. Want to have a conversation? Yeah, dude. Let's set something up."
Yeah, I've set myself up with a much higher mountain to climb when it comes to guests like that who have maybe a PR agent or a machinery behind them, or some kind of career fears and concerns and stuff, because I'm so all over the place, and I will not stray away from controversial topics or my own opinions or jokes that are,
Mm-hmm.
and at times I get really jealous of you, because I know that when you set up this like professional, I'm not saying you aren't like this your whole life. I mean, what's the point if we're not ourselves on these shows? But I'm saying, because it comes off like this professional thing, therefore you're more likely to get like people won't say no for those concerns to you. Whereas with me, it's more like, listen, this is a cult, not a goddamn hockey game. Like, I believe that my strategy is, and there's no wrong or right answer, is my strategy is that then you build like a devoted listenership that then really actually clicks on these people's books and websites and stuff. That I don't pretend to understand the internet, but there is a corner of the internet that I've lived in, which is often these niche things, and that's maybe where I'm trying to like go, where you get like a niche cult that then actually clicks on things, and then that becomes valuable for book agents and things like that, right?
I think you said something really important in the beginning. Being yourself, right? That's absolutely key, because I think that if you are acting like someone who you are not, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? If you're trying to be, I don't know, the next Friedman or the next Jordan Peterson or whatever, right? And you imitate them to perfection almost. That's not you. That's very hard to. That's a persona that's very hard to maintain over the course of 10, 20, 40, 100 episodes, right? So don't.
Yeah.
Be yourself. And I think that this works very well for you. And just like you are listening to my show, I am listening to your show. And I think it's pretty fun. Like, often I'm sitting with a smile on my face when I'm driving to work, right? And I'm hearing you go off about a specific topic. I love every single time you bring up pottery. That's one of my favorite moments, right? I still don't understand what that whole pottery thing is and why that is even important to you. But for some reason, that's a topic that comes back every now and then. So you got to explain that one to me.
I maybe kind of between the lines tried to explain it in one of the pottery episodes, which is like, listen, I used to be a young man who liked, and sometimes, a couple of times even got paid to, like, go into these niche things and like drink some whiskey and make some friends and like try to figure out what it is. And nowadays, I have a kid, I live in a suburban village, whatever, and like, nowadays, the niche things that I don't understand are really like, I don't know, middle-class white people things, I guess. And not that pottery isn't like inclusive to everyone. I'm just saying that now the weird things I encounter are just a little less sensational, maybe.
Yeah.
So pottery has been like this weird thing that I've encountered with a lot of fun people, and man, it's like Katie Fröhlich, the woman from the reality show who was on our show. What's the reality show called again? Pottery Throwdown. It's a big show here in England. And man, it was one of my favorite conversations. She was awesome, and like, and it's just the thing that I don't know anything about, and when you go there is just the right amount of weirdness. But then it's still like easy to go with your dog and your kid and your family.
Yeah.
So I can't just go and get drunk at a faith healer conference anymore, right? I would need to play diplomacy with my family and go like, can I have a day pass to just go get wasted at a failure? And the answer would probably be no, right? Yeah.
I mean, but this is a prime example. You're telling this entire story with a big smile on your face, right? You enjoy these kind of conversations, and that's what it's all about. That's what makes your podcast beautiful. So I would say keep doing what you're doing because it's great fun.
And I mean, I know there was one episode that you did and that I know that I will probably not do unless there's an angle. And I know why you did it. Very clever. You can pretend that it was other reasons, but the couples therapy one, which
okay,
is
yeah.
I know that there's a gender split in what kind of content gets consumed, and like I've read the rudimentary analytics on Spotify and other platforms and all that. If you have a man talking, you're gonna have to sometimes do women's topics, and if you have a woman talking, you're gonna have to sometimes do men's topics, right? And I guess men consume sports, women. This is all generalizing, right? I'm actually very proud. I have 1/3 female still. Weird, right? Even though I'm a fat guy with weird opinions, but still, I would say the couples thing, like women consume maybe relationship stuff, sex stuff, and true crime. And men is like sports and society and politics are bigger with men. As a sort of general split, I
It's
guess.
interesting that that's how you look at it. And I do understand why you're saying that, and I do understand why you have that idea, but I'm here to tell you that is not the case. The conversations that I do on the podcast are conversations that I'm genuinely interested in. So from a temperament and just when you talk about passions and natural interests, everything related to psychology is very interesting to me. And I'm married, right? So I know how it is to have a relationship with someone and to build a long-term relationship with the person who you assume will be with you for the rest of your life. So I also know that there is a whole lot of grief out there, right? I know that there's a whole lot of relationships out there that don't work properly, and even worse, people that make each other absolutely miserable, right? There's abuse, there's violence, there's substance abuse, all sorts of stuff going around. So bringing on, for example, a professor who focuses on narcissism or bringing on a relationship therapist, that's not something I actually do for the statistics. To be quite honest, none of the conversations that I've done have been strategically set up to drive, let's say, search engine optimization or certain numbers. Literally every single episode that we release, because my wife is also working on it, are episodes I'm genuinely very interested in. So there was no angle aside from having just a wonderful conversation. Because then, to go back a little bit in our conversation, right? When you said you have to be yourself. If I'm doing conversations just for the statistics, that means my intention is misaligned. My intention is not to have a wonderful conversation and to learn and to engage and to figure out what's what and all those sorts of things. My angle is to increase viewership. And if that's the angle, if that's the intention, then I think that will hurt the conversation very, very much.
Exactly.
So no. Yeah.
If either one of us, I believe you, and that was more of a joke, but I believe you, and if either one of us was doing that, these would both look very different. Like I do as a joke because I trust my audience to have a sense of humor. Everyone knows that my titles and my AI art might be doing exactly that, trying to hit because me and Sylvia fuck around for 25 minutes and I put up like a artwork about a true crime case like Madeleine McCann or something. Like everyone knows that's done tongue in cheek. Or my episode where the artwork was the rapper Tupac shaking hands with an alien, but actually it was just a lovely conversation about Peru. Like I think that I trust that the internet has a sense of humor and they figure out that okay, this was done as a maybe whatever, like a tongue-in-cheek, sarcastic way of clickbait,
Yeah.
But or I'm full of shit and it's all, that's a fair opinion too.
Hey, it's for people to decide for themselves what they want to consume. If you're not forced to listen to anything. So if there's something that you think goes too far, who is forcing you to keep on listening? I mean, yeah. Just be yourself.
I have a listener question here.
Okay.
I'm getting it by telepathy.
Telepathy. Right.
Yeah, the listener is getting this question in their head right now as they're listening. The listener's name is Peregrine Mac...
Brumbledore.
Yeah, exactly. And Peregrine wants to know, since you said you're married now, and I'm in a relationship and I have a family, therefore, perhaps could we both submit a form requesting a 2-day outing to a faith healer conference and then film it and discuss it? What would be your odds of getting such a pass with me specifically?
Okay, so to go to let me check if I got this right. To go to a conference and to discuss the relationship therapy with you, is that what you're saying?
Oh, no. We're going in full gonzo. We're joining the conference for 2 days, and you would have to have either liquid enhancement in the form of alcohol or whatever you're into. I know you're Dutch, so it might be something weird. We all know about the Dutch and their drugs. I'm saying we have to go and cover journalistically and seriously a faith healer conference. What would be the odds? How much politics would you have to play with your wife to to get this approved?
Man, well, at the moment that alcohol becomes part of the game, that will take quite a bit of politics, let's say.
If you promise to go to a Taylor Swift concert or something.
Yeah, she will probably tell me that I'm crazy if I would even bring it up. She would ask me to feel my forehead to see if it's any warmer than normal.
The thing is, what would happen is you would just develop gout. Like, I give off this air that going to do something like this with me would be somehow wild or crazy. But actually, nowadays, my wild and crazy is just eating well, and by well, I mean just decadently, and then doing the thing we're meant to do, making some fun of it, or talking about it seriously, whatever the vibe is, and then drinking well.
Mm-hmm.
And, you just get a gout diagnosis for your lifestyle. I think 2 nights, 3 days with me, you'll go to your doctor and they'll be like, dude, your toe is swollen. You have gout.
Yeah, that does seem to be in the cards.
Yeah. No, but yeah, this is, that was what would you call that? That was a humoristic interlude, which we've known to do on this show. Serious question, though, Jeffrey. By the way, how much time do you have? I don't mean to keep you...
as much as you need.
Long.
No, I'm
exactly.
Good. I'm good.
Because may I just remind you, you are in fact 1 hour ahead of me, time zone-wise.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's quite a long day already, but don't worry about it. We're good. We're good to go.
I'm saying you have many strengths, but reading the clock may not be one of them.
Actually, that might surprise you. I'm a project manager by craft, so making sure that everybody finishes their meeting on time, that is one of the things I focus on.
God forbid one of them is in a different time zone.
Yeah. I'll just go along with the joke. This clock I will forget this time.
Yeah. Your meetings with an Asian counterpart, they just don't happen. It's like, listen, guys, there's no way we can do this meeting. Yeah, You are just in the wrong part of the world. Join us here and I will manage the shit out of your meeting. Serious question, though. I mean, you are starting to have, pretty cool guests and stuff. And I like the early episodes, too, by the way. I feel like you're gonna maybe go more sensational. I mean, I get some of the agent emails, too, and different vibe, as I said, in the emails than with yours. But with you, I feel like some, more sensationalist people will start emailing you. Will you take, if someone comes out with, a far-right book about how, I don't know, immigration is destroying Europe, do you have any restrictions? Will you take them on?
I love this question. It really depends on the context. It really, really depends. So let me just throw a number to you. On average, around 25 to 30% of the people that apply to come on the podcast get accepted. The rest is rejected. that is just based on the first research. Just doing a Google search, finding what someone is about, seeing if there's any substance to their claims, things like that. If there's no substance, or it's a whole lot of hogwash, or whatever comes forward, then it's a very quick no, because I'm trying the best I can, together with my wife, to have conversations that are credible and that at least contain information that is interesting, but not just interesting. It needs to have substance. You need to be able to, you need to listen to that and learn something from it, ideally. So I don't want sensation just for the sake of sensation. So in your example, if there's a far right person with a far right book, who has a problem with a certain specific subject, whatever that subject is, I might have him on, but that's a very big if, right? It depends on the intention of the conversation. So what is his goal, right? How is he aimed? Is he just using the podcast as a pedestal to spread his message? Yeah, that's probably not going to happen, right? We're going to have a conversation. It's not a monologue. It's a dialogue. Plus, there needs to be substance, right? If a claim is being brought forward, you need to be able to defend that claim. You need to be able, for 2 hours long, to answer questions that delve deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into that subject. If that's impossible, or you notice that if you go 2 layers deep, all of a sudden there's assumptions floating around, right? All of a sudden you're noticing that that whole conviction in the answers and in the information that's being shared, all of a sudden is very vague, and it's going more towards the direction of, Danny, I've been studying this for 10 years, right? I know what I'm talking about. You don't, that's fine, but I know it because I've been studying it for 10 years. I mean, who cares about that, right? Nobody cares. That's an assumption. Bring forth substance. If I smell there's no substance, we are going to be done. So that's like the first line of defense, let's say. But it has happened multiple times, I believe 4 or 5 times so far, that we went ahead with a recorded conversation, and we spent 1.5, 2, in one case, I believe even 3 hours of recording, with all the research ahead of time, everything, right? So in total, there was like probably between 10 and 20 hours of work into that conversation. And then we had that conversation, and it was the worst conversation in the world, right? We cancel it. We don't do it. We don't publish it. So there's multiple lines of defense. I will make sure that every conversation that goes online, and we've become more strict over time with that, right? In the beginning, we were way more lenient with that, because it's a process that you have to learn.
Including me, hey? First of all, greatest episode of anything ever recorded. Yours truly on... I'm happy I've never failed 30. An exam. Exactly. I'm happy I've never failed an exam in my life. I'm happy to have passed that 25% threshold and been live. I do have to say, by the way, you are right. You were more lenient, and that shouldn't have gone live as it is, because you posed a couple of questions that later on I listened to other episodes and I listened to myself, and I said, listen, the way Jeffrey does this, when he asked that question, that's where you should have gone deep. And I did have deep things to say that were left unsaid, and that was ingenuine, and I think it's still a nice conversation, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And there's still like some depth to it, and because we're comfortable with each other, whatever. But I think there was the human connection question. I have actual stories, and I have actual ways that I feel that obviously you can't remember everything during a recording, and to some extent both of us probably feel frustrated that, hey, who I am in real life is even way more, whatever, in my case, entertaining and funny. In your case, even way deeper of a thinker and better at this. I always fuck up. In every recording, I fucked up, right? But I'm saying in yours specifically, I think the hour wasn't enough, or whatever it was, 45 minutes. I had a tight window. That was a mistake. I should have, I think there were some questions there that would have provided real value, if not to the listener, then to myself, is to go deep into those places. And you're so good at that, digging like the deep shit out of the guests. And but I'm happy to have passed the threshold. The other thought I had...
Just to jump in there really quickly. This is literally practice. Literally, nothing more. It's not like if you want to be a person who can dig layers deeper, there needs to be substance there. You need to do it a lot. And to bring it back to the style of the conversation and the leniency that I bring into the conversation, the more you have conversations that are tough, right? That you really have to listen very carefully to what the person that you're talking to is saying, right? In order to properly understand them, you need to let go of your own presuppositions and assumptions, right? Because else you're gonna go in there wired to bash with the person that you're talking to. This requires practice. So if you want to really have good conversations and push back where you should push back and let things go where you should let things go, that requires practice. And right now, I'm 44 episodes in, and we recorded, I believe, 47 or 48 episodes by now. That is nothing in the grand scheme of things, right? You need to record. You need to have 1,000 conversations at least on this level, on this depth, with this length, in order to become better at that. It just takes time, just like with any skill. Communication and interviewing and understanding people, that is not something that comes natural. I don't believe that. That is practiced.
Yeah. I've been told, maybe, perhaps, I don't know about you, maybe your friends have said the same. I've been told for 10 years that this is what I should be doing. And all those fucking people were right. I don't disagree with that. I think I'm also still practicing. But I think the digging the best out of people, like, I am happy to have my plumber, which hopefully I won't need one in the next year, but I'm guessing I live in a British house, it'll fall apart. I'm sure I will, and I would love to have them on about plumbing, and I think my real talent is already there. Like, I'm not just practicing, I'm also doing something that was always in me. The other thought I had about what you said is with the far right question was that the people on your show need to come with substance, and most are rejected and whatever. I am sorry that I could have come with way more substance. There was more in me, but I was time, and also I didn't know what people would be interested in and all that. The one thing that I haven't let go of myself yet, that my listeners haven't heard yet properly, is my eye for bullshit. Like, there is another side of me that hasn't come out on the show, is that I would love that sensationalist person, whether they're far left or far right or whatever, to come on and then really fail in the arguments. And I actually would love to go like, okay, you know that moment in The Big Short, one of the greatest movies ever made, where Steve Carell goes, all right, there's a bubble, it's time to go call bullshit. And then the counterpart asks, on what? On every fucking thing. Like, when you see
amazing movie.
Wait a minute, amazing movie, top 5 movie ever made. Unbelievable film, rewatchable so many times. Our generation, one of the only movie and one of the only works of anything, literature, academia, news story, whatever, that really did justice to one of the formative events of our generation, of people who are in their 30-somethings now. The financial crisis, unbelievable movie, yeah. But when he realizes that he has given a chance to the House of Cards to stay afloat until he arrives at the final thing that fails, and those are the moments when I can get real, like, okay, buddy, see, now I've given you a chance. Every single card in your House of Cards is failing, and here's the reasons. And I can get quite pissed at sort of bullshit arguments, and I think that hasn't quite come out in my show yet, because every guest has been so lovely and really knowledgeable about their own thing, and nobody has pretended to come with an answer about any other thing, right?
Yeah.
Other than me, right? But I'm the cult leader, nobody can attack me. Yeah. So yes, my answer to that would be that, yes, give me the sensationalist, and I hope they fail. I would never not release a recording because someone didn't come with substance. I think for me it would be, all right, here's a fucking somewhat funny, somewhat fat, somewhat annoying guy reacting to what you just said. I think that would be my approach.
All right, let's dig into that a little bit, because I have a couple of assumptions that I would like to throw at you to see what you think about them. But little sidestep before, for everybody watching and listening right now who is frustrated with the housing market, and who thinks it only goes up every single year and you can never buy a house. The prices in the supermarkets go up, the houses go up, everybody is buying everything and greed is all over the place. And especially for the younger generation, so for people, let's say younger than 20 or something along those lines, who think that the markets can never go down, go watch that movie, The Big Short.
Yeah.
You will, I remember that time very well, 2007, 2008, because I was already, personally, finance is one of my guilty pleasures. Let's say I love that. I love following the economical news. I love reading
You're a
graphs
money
about.
guy. Hey, you're like Gary in the Cayman
I
Islands. You're a
love
money
it.
guy.
I
You're
love
a
it.
money guy. You and Gary, yeah.
Even though I was 2007, so I was 16. Even though I was 16 years old, I very well remember every damn street that you entered. Right, there were for sale signs everywhere, and there was panic all over the place. In America, a little bit worse, I think, than in Europe, but it was definitely here as well. So anyway, I'll digress there. For everybody who thinks that markets can never go down, go watch that movie, because that movie, I think, shows very well that the markets can go down.
Exactly, and just as I've now become the leading movie critic on the internet with my Happy Gilmore performance, yes, there were two movies that were released maybe a year and a half apart. They came out where you'll meet two types of people in your life. One will think that The Wolf of Wall Street was the superior movie. Wow, whatever. I mean, great entertaining movie, and I think it deserves a direct comparison with what it called The Big Short, because they're kind of the same topic, and the topic being money. And a different movie, but fundamentally, here's the difference. The Wolf of Wall Street, they're wanking about money, right? Like, that's the story. The story is fascinating and the acting is amazing and the movie is great. But at the end of the day, that appeals to people who want to wank over money. Whereas The Big Short took a mission that I cannot believe Hollywood ever funded. I can't believe there was ever any money. I think Brad Pitt produced it. They needed a guy, probably the best thing he's ever done in his career, is to produce this movie, because they chose to explain money. They explained the one thing that controls your life and how they all were criminals and idiots. And so both stupidity and greed and corruption destroyed millions of people's lives and plans for the future and families and everything. And that they decided to try to explain money to a movie going public. And what they created was a masterpiece for the ages. An unbelievable movie that I rewatched it not too long ago and still lives up to.
And that movie primarily focuses on the event, which is the economical collapse. But there's also another side that doesn't really get explored that much within that movie, because there's mostly ignorance in that movie, right? From the banker's perspective, the arrogance of the markets can just go up, right? What you're saying about the markets going down and the housing market not being in order and all these products that are just completely below the actual value that they're being sold for, right? That's actually focused on the market itself. And from the banker's perspective, it was very arrogant and ignorant. But the movie that really shows also the thought process of people that let it happen and people that decided, we are gonna rock the world right now, right? Margin Call. That movie, especially with the performance of Jeremy Irons, Margin Call, what a brilliant movie.
Yeah, Margin Call, awesome movie as well. I think perhaps the only difference is like it's not, I guess, big enough and popular and known enough to compete with something like The Big Short, but it goes
definitely
into the same, like, Margin Call, like, people aren't gonna say lofty things like top 5 movie all time, like I just said, but yeah, certainly same kind of genre. Awesome film. Yeah, I agree with you. We do have to give some reading as well. If these kind of movies, like, as they should, kind of blow your mind and you think they're masterpieces, there's a book. It was actually on the reading list for my interview at Cambridge, called Fool's Gold. And Fool's Gold is an anthropological book about the cultures of the various big banks and financial institutions and insurance companies in America leading up to and after the crash of 2008, 2009, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or 2007, 2009.
Yeah, 2007. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one, Fool's Gold, I guess, in short, it's all groupthink. But that groupthink in all these banks and with all these professional people managing insane amounts of money and an insane portion of our economy was different in each building, kind of, And yeah, great book, Fool's Gold. I recommend that one.
Yeah, something to fill an entire podcast with. But to bring it back to your point about being very welcome to having people on that bring that lack of substance forward, let's say, or that combativeness, or yeah, to use your word, that bullshit that you can detect then and you can do something with. Because it kind of sounds like, and tell me what you think about this. I think you are a person that is not quite combative, but you have an element of combativeness in you, and there's a feeling of justice also there, right? So if you're noticing that somebody is trying to sell a story that is flawed, and they don't even believe in it themselves, yet they still preach it for some reason, that's a misaligned intention, right? There's an intention there, and it's not aimed at honesty, at exploration, at learning, at all those sorts of things, at growing. So I think it sounds like maybe you enjoy, but there's a certain element of combativeness in there that you're looking for, because then at least you have the feeling that you can set the record straight or something along those lines.
Oh, absolutely. It would release endorphins and dopamines and whatever the hormones are and the chemicals. Right. Doing that is yes, it would be a joy to me. Those rare instances, and I'm actually I pretend to be arrogant. I'm actually pretty humble. The rare instances where I do know that I am way more knowledgeable and smarter, and that most importantly that I'm right. Those instances, if I can destroy someone, yes, it would give me immense pleasure, and I think that's everybody really. And it wouldn't be personal. Like I would attack the argument, not the person. That to me is always a terrible cop out. Just like with religion, referring to God is always an intellectual cop out. Like it's intellectual laziness, and like don't go there. Just talk about what we're talking about. It doesn't matter what I'm wearing or what my background is. Like a great example would be that, based on what I've talked about on your show, if I make a great point that, let's say, the right generally brings forward politically, then the kind of people who really annoy me and who I hate are the people who then go, well, somebody who, served in the army in Israel, they would say something like that, wouldn't they? It's like, wait, what was that? We're 15 years removed from that. I'm just giving you a point. Just, discuss the point at its own merits. And if you're unable to do that, then, I may derive pleasure from destroying you.
I think the question that you have to ask yourself, and that's the question I'm going to ask you then, because it does make sense what you're saying, and I do understand why there's a pleasure also in setting the record straight. I do get that, but then the question is, what is the end result of that? What is the aim with that? What are you trying to achieve with that?
Yeah, I'm pretty cynical, man. I think we've learned enough about the internet. The internet is like create your own family, the people who enjoy your kind of sense of humor and your kind of sarcasm, or in your case, your kind of awesome in-depth conversations. And the end result is not going to be anything. Like, you're not going to change. I am not going into this trying to change people's mind. Like, case in point, my episodes end with completely ridiculous public service announcements, which are like a totally sarcastic way of saying, like, actually, we're not here to tell you what to do in life. That's why I force every guest to tell you what to do in life. Like, we're not, there's no end game. Like, even if you absolutely, quote unquote, win some kind of debate, the debate there'll still be two teams on the internet fighting over that same shit. It doesn't matter,
Let me give you an example. There was a conversation, I think a month or 2 months ago, with with a sex therapist, that one didn't get released. Because what I figured out really quickly while having that conversation, and I went in that with the research done, right? So that first line of defense that I spoke about earlier, that did show that there was a license there. It did show that there was, I believe, academic papers. I'm not even sure anymore now from the top of my head. But there was enough substance there to at least have a conversation, right? There was knowledge there. But then when the actual conversation happened, I figured out pretty quickly that certain political flows were being followed. And when delving deeper into those flows, we went into the realm of those assumptions, right? Of those, I have been studying this for so long, so just trust me on this. That what I'm saying what I'm telling you is true. And that happened for 1.5 hours long. And yeah, long story short, because I'm not going to give specifics because I don't want to get into that specific side of the argument, but I noticed that the person was full of shit. There's no clear way to say that, right? So yeah, I can push back on that, and I can point that out, whatever. But specifically, for the style of the podcast that I'm going to go for, that doesn't serve the audience. That doesn't serve the person listening, right? Because the whole idea of substance being there, and it's not necessarily changing your mind, but it's more, there needs to be something in there that's interesting, that you can have an opinion about, right? Just like you in the beginning, when you said that when you listened to that conversation with Joshua, right? There were a couple of things in there that you were thinking like, hey, hold on a second, right? That's not quite right. I think this and that about that. And that's awesome, right? That's awesome because it invites you to listen to a story, to listen to a line of argumentation that has substance, even though it may be flawed. And that it gives you the opportunity to formulate your own opinion, and that's beautiful, right? And then do with it what you want. I will not tell you, Danny, this is what you have to believe. You can perfectly do it yourself, but that's what the conversation is for. That conversation is just to give you those perspectives and to let you think about them, right? To let you sit in that for a bit. But if there's no substance, that goal doesn't get achieved. And sorry, but that conversation is then going out the window. And last one. There was one a month before. That was also a terrible conversation. There was a conversation with someone who constantly kept interrupting. And if I asked some critical questions or pushed back a little bit, it was almost like I was insulting the person. Right? He became very defensive, very almost to the point of insulted and angry. Yeah, that's not a conversation I'm going to release then. I'm going to obviously thank you for your time and amazing that we had this conversation and wonderful that you took your valuable time to talk with me and to share what you have focused on for the last 30 years with me, right? That's great. But the conversation is not good enough, so it's not going live.
Interesting. I think for me, I know that we have very different profiles on the show, right? So that's nice, maybe for people quite interesting behind the scenes information. For me, I would find that tough to do. I haven't yet come to a real tough decision about that. Because for me, so far, the people, yes, the kind of thing where the guest might go on for too long and I have to interrupt, that happens, but that's just, I know why it is. It's mostly because the people are like, finally, someone is like letting me, like, when they go home to their family for Thanksgiving, the kind of guest I have, or for Christmas, whatever market we're in. See, I brought in the Americans, Jeffrey. I'm a professional. I know that, but
very good.
Yeah. They never get an hour to say like, all right, here's my life, here's who I really am, sure. And this is my story, or these are my opinions, or this is my research, whatever, depends on the person. And that's why I have to come in and interrupt. That would never make me think that the person, that there was any rudeness involved. It was just me going like, fuck, no. I need to keep the conversation like with a rhythm that's normal for people to listen to. We can't have any, exactly. 15-minute jargon filled rants by a guy who knows about banking or something. Like, you gotta interrupt with my jokes or something. But that's a really interesting behind the scenes thing for me. Would I ever cut out even if things went wrong, as in the guest doesn't know what they're talking about, or I perform badly? I feel like I would find a sense of honesty and humorousness to release an absolute disaster of an episode. See what I mean? Because And I did. I released a couple of solo episodes where I'm just ranting because, we needed a bonus episode. Sylvia wasn't there. I went, okay, guys, I'm on holiday, a little bit drunk, whatever. I'm, doing something. But I feel like that's part of maybe it's a different audience that we're going for, but it's part of the journey of like getting to know your cult, which is I'm actually not the cult leader. I'm the cult enabler. I'm not, but I'm saying like I feel like a fuck up like that would be an important way for the audience to hear that okay, it can go fucking
Yeah.
wrong,
No, I think I think there's truth to that, and it's not like if my own performance is not good enough, I will still release it because I honestly believe that my personal performance in episode 44 with Joshua was one of the weakest performances I've had so far. So I'm very self-critical when it comes to that specific episode, and I can give you another
Well,
couple of episodes. There was an
but
episode,
that maybe that's why it made me so engaged though. Like
yeah,
maybe it was like me going, "Hey Jeff, dude, you
yeah.
give him some challenge, give him a little
Yeah,
bit
maybe
of
it's just in that specific episode. But also, I had a postmodernist professor on a little while ago, right? Yeah, what do I know about postmodernism? That's so incredibly dense, right? People have to realize this is, and I hope you can attest to this. This is incredibly hard to have these kind of conversations with people because in for example in the case with that postmodernist professor, right, we're talking about a subject that is incredibly dense, that has a history of multiple hundreds of years, right, that I know pretty much nothing about. I can't even properly define the word postmodernism. So I need to have that conversation, all the information that is coming in, because he was a very quick speaker as well. I need to parse, I need to understand, I need to give it a place in my mind, and I need to formulate proper intelligent questions in order to respond to that, in order to keep a conversation going for 2 hours. That is incredibly tough. So those evenings after those kind of conversations, I'm completely exhausted at the end of the day. But that is to say that from that perspective, I think my performance for that reason is not good enough. And that is fine, right? That is fine. Because I think if someone is listening to that and they are listening to someone who doesn't understand anything about postmodernism and who's listening to a professor about postmodernism, they will very likely have similar questions and a similar approach to that conversation. So I think that's good. Doesn't mean I think my own performance is well.
You're so right. That's why journalism is dead. Those that they are such difficult conversations. The amount that you have to read, either read or at least sound like you can pretend that you have read.
Yeah.
In any other era, that's why print media and even news TV channels are dead and podcasts are alive, because I think in any other era of human history, you and I would have eventually decided, after doing whatever we've done for a living for a while, that it's either documentary making or journalism or something that would have satisfied this curiosity and desire to talk to interesting people. Yeah,
for sure.
Whereas now we have this thing, and you're so right. It's very hard, and here I suppose I am lucky in the sense that, people have told me for 10, 15 years that this thing lives inside me. In some cases, I will not reveal which episodes and with whom and stuff. I might sound like I've read / know about what I'm saying, but actually, I just remember enough buzzwords to keep the guest going and make myself sound like I am also in this world. I also know. I don't fucking know. I just have just enough, I'm a generalist, just enough knowledge about each and every topic on earth to like keep a guest going. But yeah, you're right. It's very hard. I listened to the postmodernism episode. I haven't done that much philosophy since university, and even there I was kind of faking it. So tough. I can see how that would have been tough to research for.
That's completely fine. That's most of the fun of it, right? Because you do your research, you go in there not completely blind, you have some questions prepared, you have thought about it in advance, you know who you're going to talk to, so there is material there that you can work with. But yeah, the conversation is tough to have, and I love deep conversations. I love this goes back to what we talked about earlier, and I think it goes for you as well. I think we both are very naturally curious, right? And not just about one thing. So for me, it's quite easy to talk with all kinds of different people about all kinds of different subjects, but that doesn't mean that the conversation itself is going to be easy. And that's fine. That's part of the adventure. That's beautiful. I absolutely love that, because the only way to grow in whatever it is that you want to grow in is to step outside the boundaries that are comfortable for you right now, right? That's why you have muscle pain if you want to work out and become stronger. You know, you're going to suffer in the short term, but by doing that, you're pushing the boundaries, and hopefully you become a little bit less dumb tomorrow than you are today, let's say.
Yeah, that's yeah, I know what you're doing here. I know that you can see, you know the lengths of my episode, you can see where we are now, and you came to your natural public service announcement right there. Oh my
Good.
God, I was I was bragging with my professionalism there, but you're a pro. You knew what to do. See? Now you can avoid trying to struggle for something. You just finished on a beautiful note there.
And I can give you. Wait, let me check, because I know you've. This is very silly of me. I know at the end of every episode you ask for public service announcement, but I have not prepared one. So you know what? Let's just do full transparency. ChatGPT, give me a funny and relatable public service announcement that might be. What shall we say? What word shall we use? Slightly.
It's not gonna be better than what you just, like you said, be more intelligent than you were yesterday. Like you have just, like, you've cracked the top 3 all time out of whatever it's been when this comes out, maybe almost 50 episodes. Like you've put yourself in the top 5% with
Man,
be more intelligent than you were yesterday. Like you're not gonna beat that with ChatGPT. Come on, what did he give you?
I know, but ChatGPT still okay. So the prompt is: give me a funny and relatable public service announcement that might be slightly dumb. Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Your phone doesn't actually charge faster if you stare at it. In fact, science shows it might charge slower if you keep checking every 14 seconds. So do yourself a favor, put it down, go touch some grass, and return to a fully powered rectangle of disappointment.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
Oh,
that's so depressing. The AIs are gonna have this entire conversation better than us. Dude, all they have to do is scrape the content, the transcripts of our respective shows. And 2 AIs could have done that. Even with that, that was amazing. And that makes me sick how good that was. Oh, fuck. I said it wouldn't be more intelligent than you were the day before or whatever, but it ain't bad.
It's getting there. It's getting better.
On the website, I'm going to publish rankings. We have to decide which person. Maybe our attorney, Ronald R. Rosenberg, can do rankings of this, of public service announcements. I think, well, let's see if you rank higher than that one, because that was fucking... Isn't that depressing, though? Like, fuck, how did they, you just asked it to do that perfectly in line with the sarcasm and silliness of the show, but with still a genuine message with actual information in it. Because of course it's true. If you click your screen and check your charge, it's going to charge slower. Jesus, that's so good.
Interesting times.
I'm not going to sleep now with that. But can ChatGPT do this, though? Go to Jeffrey's show, press all the internet buttons, follow the show, subscribe, click on all the episodes, listen to all of them, especially the one when yours truly is embarrassing himself as usual, and then do the same for this show. talkingasspodcast@gmail.com, the website, everything, links in the description. Press the internet buttons. By the way, I know how few of you are actually engaging with the show compared to the numbers. Maybe this is true for you as well, Jeffrey, but is it difficult? Is it scary? Is it because I make fun of certain emails? Just send something. You get to feel part of it. It's nice. And send something to Jeffrey as well.
I think you have to give them some very stern words, like come close to the microphone and slow down your speech, and say, hey, if you don't press these buttons, you will make me very, very sad.
Your voice is already so goddamn sultry and cult-like that you've just in the words of Flight of the Conchords, you've just made all the ladies in the first 4 row pregnant. Yeah.
Nice. Well, with that, I will start my evening. Beautiful.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Good seeing
awesome
you, Danny.
Conversation. Yes, and I will keep following. And when you mess up and don't ask angry questions, I will come back at you. All right.
Nice. Always a pleasure, man. Take care.
Yeah. See you later. Thank you, buddy.